Today we're privileged enough again to speak to another award-winning builder.
It's pretty well no fuss.
It's not a bad beach house.
It's a bloody beautiful beach house. Trying to work out how long this is going to take was obviously a very difficult side of it because we'd never done it before. It was kind of groundbreaking stuff that we were doing. And then through the middle there, you've got pretty much an entertaining breezeway, which is an engineering feat in itself. Always a bit of trickery in these houses. Summarising the house would be walking through an art gallery. To do something like this, it's so bespoke, and I think you can't put a figure on it.
We're back again for another great episode of the Made to Build podcast powered by the HIA. Today we're privileged enough again to speak to another award-winning builder here in New South Wales. Richard, tell us more.
Yeah, so today we're talking to Joel Jones from JJ Building. He's actually a New South Wales award winner, so the HIA Home of the Year award winner. And the project he's worked on is in Avalon. And I've already seen some of the photos, mate, and they totally rock.
The house rocks, yes.
Yes. So tell us all about this job and what you loved about it.
This job was a pretty special one. You don't come about these jobs very often in your career, I don't think. It was amalgamation of two pretty slopey sites, and the clients wanted to pretty much utilise both sites with this project that they proposed. So it was an amalgamation of a sloping block, tiered site, beautiful home, beautiful design. Architect was amazing. Clients were amazing. So it was a real team effort. Yep. So it definitely made a big difference. Yeah. Just over 3-year project. So, and there was a lot of challenges. It was obviously through COVID. So we had a few ups and downs here and there. We got smashed by weather and the actual process of the build was very technical. When we have a look at some of the photographs of it, a lot of the structure was sandstone, solid sandstone blocks. Yep. And every one of those blocks, I think we had 1,500 blocks in the job, was all lifted by crane. So there was nothing that was manhandled because they were all minimum weight of 200 kilos. Right. With 3 mil joints everywhere. So it was.
Is that just a mortar joint or what is that?
No, it was just a glue joint. So it was like a shadow line joint that we had around everywhere in each course. So we had to come up with ideas on how to seal that because they were 400 wide in thickness. So there was no cavity in between. So we had to kind of work out what we were going to do to kind of keep it watertight and things like that. So
you packing in between those blocks?
We were packing, yeah. So we had a 3 mil packer, and then we had an adhesive glue, and then we had a sealant band around the perimeter and also on the inside, so to keep the water stop the water coming through. Yep. So it was challenging, and those 3 mil joints had to coincide with every one of our RLs and our floor levels and things like that. So
margin of error was
there was no margin of error. That was the problem, and that was a difficulty of the build, getting the stonework up to the structure.
So just on that alone, it sounds as though you had a lot of lessons that you took out of that.
Yeah, we did. It was just you kind of had to get your processes right. Obviously, planning for a job like that and trying to work out how long this is going to take was obviously a very difficult side of it because we'd never done it before. It was kind of groundbreaking stuff that we were doing. We had to also think about this beautiful sawn sandstone that was pristine from the quarry. Yep. How do we protect that while we were building and putting concrete slabs over it? And because a lot of the job is all off form concrete. So it was, again, another challenge that came through the job. So we had to come up with, when we got to the first slab level, we had to get this protective felt kind of cover and stick it onto the top course and then lay it down and then cover it all while we formed up that.
So just with the sandstone alone, and I know that we are talking about this, but there's a story. It's got its own story. It
does,
because it was quarried in
Rockhampton.
Rockhampton, so in Rocky.
Yeah.
So it was shipped down.
It was trucked down. So it was all quarried up there beautifully to nearly millimeters because it had to be because of our tolerances on the site.
Yep.
And then we actually had some of the masons go up to the quarry and do some of the finishing work on the sandstone.
Yeah.
So, you know, they went up 2 or 3 times through the build in different processes of the stone.
Yeah.
And that had to be wrapped up like a baby and brought down on a truck. And then we had to, because we couldn't get a semi into the site, because we were so restricted by the street, we had to have a like a holding yard, and then we had to pretty much drag it down with a trailer and then crane it off from the trailer. And yeah,
1,500 blocks.
1,500
Wow.
blocks.
Okay.
So you can understand
how'd you get
why.
a crane in?
Oh, we had a tower crane. So yeah, we had a permanent tower crane in there. So we had to, because it was just impossible to do it.
And-
So
And that was at a time when there was a lot of wet weather.
it was unbelievable. I think over the time of the build, we probably lost at least 3 to 4 months of wet weather.
Yeah.
It was the worst. I mean, maybe you guys remember, but it was New South Wales just got absolutely hammered by rain in that between COVID and those few years there.
So how did you protect the stone?
Well, the other thing was when it rained, obviously the sandstone was all wrapped when it came from the quarry. So
Okay, yep.
when it came down, we left it wrapped until we were ready and we knew we had a window of opportunity to start laying again. But if it rained and we had the stuff that we'd already laid, we had to cover that up all the time, because obviously sandstone sucks in a lot of moisture.
Yeah.
So you had to get that completely dry before we could start laying again, because the blocks was obviously, when we were using packers, we still got a lot of movement in the moisture of the blocks. So yeah, it was very challenging, but so that was a big part of the job. Like the sandstone was really difficult. I had some really good stonemasons who I've worked with my entire kind of career, but again, they hadn't done it before, and you know, everyone was kind of working these things out as we went, and obviously we got to a process where we were getting as many rocks in as we could, and then, you know, we get snookered by the weather again. But so it was difficult, and then just maintaining the cleanliness of the stone while we're building everything around it.
So what are we looking at here, Joel?
We've got the master wing. So downstairs is obviously the garage.
Yep.
And then above that is the master pavilion kind of thing. So that looks straight out to the ocean to the northeast. So. And then through the middle there, you've got pretty much an entertaining breezeway, which is an engineering feat in itself. It's kind of held up by 2 columns, and the rest of it just kind of floats in the air. So
Are they suspended by sandstone columns?
That
balcony coming off the front. of the
they
master?
are. So the concrete is suspended off all the structure of this house, all the concrete structure is supported off the sandstone blocks.
Okay.
Wow.
So that's the load bearing part of it.
And are we looking at an off-form ceiling as well?
Everything's off form that you can see. So every bit of concrete in this house was off form.
Was that for acoustic reasons or?
Because silly architects want off form all the time. But yeah, just for the visual and obviously longevity of the build and the quality and materiality of the whole thing.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so there's post tension in a lot of the concrete, particularly in the middle breezeway there.
Mm.
For people who don't know what that is, what is post
So
tension?
post tension is a tension that goes into the concrete when you've got to support something that's got a big span. So what we had in that one, we had some real big structural columns coming from the base, with post tension coming up through the columns and then coming across into the slab. So it ties the slab from falling down, So that's kind of where it kind of
So it
holds
creates
it.
your connection point between your post and your slab.
Yeah, it's just one big mass that's coming from the base, holding the whole structure up. That's looking at the breezeway from the backyard.
Yep.
So you can see it's kind of nearly floating in space, but you've kind of got two structural, one column there and one column on the right. Obviously, it's connected to the 2 other south and north wings, but the rest of it's just kind of floating in the air.
Yeah, and there's so much glass in it.
There is.
So it's really glass, sandstone. For those listening and not watching, it's really glass, sandstone, concrete, and lawn.
It is. Yeah.
And
that's right.
so it's actually visually, I wouldn't call it simple, but it's certainly got some really neutral tones
It
all the way
does.
through it. And
Yeah.
it looks great, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah,
What
it's amazing.
What material's that in your soffit?
That's just all timber lining boards in the soffits.
Okay.
So yeah, we did that timber lining board went all the way through every pavilion.
Yep.
So that was one element that was really just the white element of everything. Roof's copper. There's a lot of detailing in copper. Because of the position, which is right on the coast, every materiality of the house was thought about to obviously last and last and last. So hardware was all bronze and brass and.
Will copper outlast, say, just a typical colour bond?
100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't it go like greeny?
Yeah, it'll tarnish. Yeah, it does, and it'll just over time it'll just weather and weather and weather, but it'll last for 50, 100 years.
So that's the look the client wanted.
Yeah.
I take it it's a flat roof.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's just a very low pitch skillion roof.
What's the lowest pitch you can go with copper?
3%.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't want to go any lower than that because it starts. Like if you get any water ponding and things like that, you just don't want to be doing that. So 3% is pretty much as low as you want to go.
Mm.
Were there any like major structural challenges you had with building this?
No, we were pretty lucky because we found a lot of rock on the site. So obviously the site is on a headland of coastal headland. So you've got rock is right there. So all the headlands are sandstone. So it was pretty good that we found rock. There was a couple of changes here and there in the engineering of it because we found rock that wasn't that stable. So it had layers and layers of rock and
So it's like shale.
kind of shaly sandstone. Yeah.
Okay.
So where the geotech thought it was going to be solid sandstone.
Yeah.
So it was there's a few changes here and there, but nothing that was out of the ordinary. I mean, the most structural part challenging was obviously, we're in 6 meters high here in this beautiful sandstone hallway. Obviously pouring concrete slabs on top of those. So it's up there. So we're kind of.
It's funny, this shot here that we're looking at, it's basically a 6 metre high hallway with sandstone either side.
It is, yeah.
And it actually reminds me of there's a wall at the Mona Gallery down in
I haven't been to the Mona. I've heard it's amazing.
Yeah, and it has a similar feel to this.
Yeah, right.
Like it's beautiful,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the entrance foyer kind of thing. Obviously, the staircase coming down to the main wings of the bedroom. So
Is that a sandstone lintel there above that doorway?
it's not. It kind of is and it isn't. We've actually housed out a block of sandstone over a concrete slab. So that's kind of supporting.
So just to make it look like it's floating.
Yeah. So there's a bit of trickery going on. Always a bit of trickery in these houses. So, but there was so many details in this home. I mean, you can see all the curves in the sandstone corners, and
Were they done on site?
They were done in site. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
But you were nervous doing those.
Because you couldn't have a mistake in the stone. So because every block was put in by crane, it's not like if you had something go on with one piece of stone in one course, you can't just lift it out. So it was just, I probably lost the little hair that I had on my head. So it was a challenge.
This is a bit of a nerdy question, but I'm wondering what percentage of stone did you finish up throwing out? Because you would inevitably mistakes would occur.
Not that much, actually.
Really?
No,
Okay.
I mean we had some big blocks, but we utilised them in the landscape. So
Got it.
there was.
Is that like through your front letterboxes and
Yeah,
fences and whatnot?
letterboxes, and there was in the backyard we've got a big watercourse pond, which was our retention for our stormwater. So we had a lot of sandstone down there, and so we kind of utilised it, but pretty much minimal waste because the quarry did a really good job of obviously calculating what we needed, how much we needed, the waste we would actually come by because it was all gridded out. So the architects did an amazing job with the plans as well. So they gave us the grids, not exactly to length of our stone. It was all coming in random, but obviously the linear meterage of that each course. So you needed that to kind of work out when the the cost of the sandstone is very, very significant. You really need to kind of work it out at least as possible. So
How do you go about cutting it on site?
we just had some big saws. Most of the cutting was just cutting to length, a few courses here and there. A lot of it was done on the quarry, and so that was a big thing because obviously cutting sandstone, particularly the size of the blocks that we were doing, was again, manhandling those blocks was very difficult in itself. So we just did minimal cutting. I mean, a lot of the angles were cut on site, but just 2 big saws, and then it was all polished. And so, yeah.
So you'd go through with like a demo saw? Then
Demo saw, they split it, and then they polish it with like a flat pad, and then just get it all perfectly smooth and, do all the rounds and things like that. So a lot of work, yeah.
Are the joints staggered in the blocks?
They are, they're all staggered.
So how do you go about laying that out?
It was just a random stagger. So we got, some blocks were 2 meters long, some blocks were 1 meter, and then our offcuts we just work it so it worked in the grid.
Yeah.
So it was, we didn't really work those kind of areas out. We just put in what we had. If we were coming up to some doorways or something like that, we wouldn't end up with like a little 300 piece.
Yep.
So we'd work it so we'd have like a minimum 100 or a metre piece or something like that we'd come up to the doorway.
Yep.
So there was a lot of thinking going on with that and how that would come about and work properly to what we had with our openings and things like that. So
okay. Being that you've got the sandstone on the external facade of the house and that backs onto the inside of the house.
Yep.
It's a porous material.
Yep.
How does that work when it rains a lot?
So so all the sandstone's fully sealed on the outside. It's actually fully sealed on the inside as well, just for wear and tear and grime and things like that. So technically, sandstone, if it gets wet on the outside, it'll seep in 200 mil, and then it won't go in any further. So we kind of did a bit of playing around with that and worked it out that we didn't need to break it with a cavity because it was so thick, so 400 mil thick. Yeah. So we would never get. The biggest concern was obviously the water penetrating through our joints and our perps.
Yeah. So
we just had to come up with an idea to kind of make them sealant and make them as sealed as possible, and then it was hopefully it was all working.
So you can stand out there with a garden hose.
Yeah.
It's just going to bounce straight back at you.
Pretty much. Yeah. It just beads off. So the sealer works really well.
Yeah.
And just when you've got water on it, it just beads off.
Is that like a concrete sealer?
It is, yeah. Sandstone concrete sealer. Yeah. So the whole house was sealed with, because it's off-form concrete.
Yeah.
You don't want grime and muck and stuff going onto the off-form concrete. So all that was sealed. There's a bit of concrete roof areas that we had in between the breezeway and the 2 pavilions. So all the top of those were sealed just with concrete sealers. And so
a lot of people tend to underestimate how hard it is to get such a good finish on off-form concrete. Did you struggle with that at all?
We did. Yeah, it was always that was one of the other really big challenges, is getting that, particularly when you're trying to deal with weather, when you can't put if you're doing a proper off-form house, I think the best scenario is to actually put a dome over it, if you can.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do that here because we had to have a crane and we had to lift everything in and things like that. So to do proper off-form, you need to have everything protected properly, because you're relying on the rain to destroy all your beautiful joinery that you put into your formwork.
Yeah.
So it's really, really difficult to get good off-form done really well. So
do you do your formwork yourself?
We do a lot of it ourselves. This one we didn't. It was just too big for us to do ourselves, and so the amount of material and equipment that you needed was just too big. So, but we were still involved hugely.
I imagine you'd have to be there all day, every day, because there's so much.
You do, yeah. So the house wasn't square either; it was like a parallelogram. So it was another challenge.
So it's really interesting hearing you talk about fundamentally managing a whole lot of risk.
Well, that's what building is, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But this one's got extra.
It does, yeah.
It really does.
But this is when you come back to your team that you've got around you, and just doing the best that they can and having the same vision that you've got within yourself.
Yeah.
So it's hugely important, and you've got to have that instilled into your team
Yeah.
to be able to do these jobs.
Yeah. So, I mean, say for example, I mean, obviously there's not just the functional risk of delivering the project to the quality that's needed, but there's also the time risk, which
Well, that's right.
comes into it. There's also the financial risk that comes into it. So, for builders that are listening to this, that one day may, build something in a direction that is equivalent in risk.
Yeah.
What are the risks that you managed, and how did you do that as you went through the process?
I think when you get a job like this come through, I've had my runs on the board with some really beautiful homes.
Yep.
So it comes back to, I feel the risks that you want to take is, do you want to work for a client that's fully on board and fully able to see what you've got to do to produce something that's as special as this.
Yep.
And I think that's a key, really is a key for builders out there. You've got to have a really good client that's willing to pay the money to build something that's nearly perfection.
Yep.
And go with the swings and roundabouts that you're going to.
So it's a cost plus, and they carry all the risk.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've still got to produce it.
Yep.
Because that's a huge risk in itself.
Uh-huh.
But to do something like this, it's so bespoke, and I think you can't put a figure on it. When an architect comes to you and they've designed something that hasn't been done before, you can estimate as best you can. And I was pretty good at where I came up with it, but there was changes and there was things that we came across through the build, and and obviously through COVID, things went up 30%. Across the board building. So those things, and we weren't far off our estimates. So I think, the cost of the build ended up being like 30% more, but for a build like that, through those times was pretty good.
Yeah, there were a lot of builders that experienced the same cost escalation.
Yeah, they did.
Of that magnitude, yeah.
This is slightly different because it's it's so bespoke, and we're strained by getting materials that we couldn't get.
Yep.
So the sandstone, concrete, things just went up. That's all.
Yeah.
So so that was kind of. But I think the risk involved is, have you got the knowledge to construct something like this? Do you feel like you're confident enough to be able to take on a project like that? I think that's what you need to talk to yourself about.
Did you ever doubt yourself in that?
No, building's really difficult, but it's challenging when you get something like this because you've got to think constantly every day. So, but if you've got a package that's come from an architect with design plans, I've done it for so long, so it's kind of I'm confident in myself and my abilities and my team around me that I can produce something.
I was going to mention that I'm sure you've got a big team working with yourself, and you can often give something to them to do.
Oh, you have to. You can't do it all yourself. Yeah.
But with something like this,
you've got to be onto it.
Is there ever a day that you're not there?
Oh, there's lots of days where I'm not there. Yeah. But when I'm not there, I'm in my office looking at plans, figuring out what we're going to do the next day.
Yep.
Or in a week's time.
This becomes a labour of love, really, where it's continuous.
It is, yeah.
Non-stop.
You live and breathe it, really, particularly a job like that. So it's good and it's bad, but when you come out with something like that and you step back and go, wow, it's pretty special. So this has obviously come back again straight to the architects who have designed something that's really special, and then back to the joiner who's done an amazing job as well. So
are those like false joists in the ceiling? What
no,
are they?
they're a structural truss that we've exposed structural truss that's supporting the actual ceiling frame.
Okay.
So they were actually made off site in a factory. So again, obviously with two sites, you think you've got so much space to do things, but when you've got a masonry side going on, there's a lot of dust that goes around. So trying to keep that at bay and then try and construct timber and coat it properly, it's just some things you have to do in a factory. So we've done those outside in the factory.
What was if you were to try and you probably would have heard this from both the client and the architect in terms of the the vision of the client, what was it that they were, if you were to try and distill it down to a sentence, what would it be?
To create something that's going to last and be an easy living beach house.
Yep.
So that's kind of what they wanted.
Yeah.
So, and it's pretty well no fuss.
It's not a bad beach house.
It's a bloody beautiful beach house. I wouldn't say no at all. So it's but yeah, they wanted something that was low maintenance,
Yep.
which it is. Every material element in the house has been thought about being low maintenance. They've got obviously they've got clear coated timber windows and doors, which no doubt there's got to have maintenance on them. So that's the only element in the house that really needs to be maintained, apart from, obviously being on the coast, it needs to be washed and cleaned and things like that, and all that kind of stuff. So,
and what we're looking at on screen just now is actually a bathroom, which is sort of like a bit of a masterpiece.
That's the ensuite.
That's the ensuite. Okay, so
ensuite.
that's and I understand that this is actually one of the key requirements from the client was that they wanted to be able to look out across the beach through these open windows.
So this one here, so they've got two views with the master suite. They've kind of got the beach view where the bedroom is, which we can see from the front view. But this through the ensuite, you're looking out to Avalon Village, and out to the escarpments outside that.
So is that facing towards Palm Beach?
That's facing more kind of northwest. So kind of towards Palm Beach.
Okay.
But more towards. So where we are in the northern beaches, we've got the waterway called Pittwater. So that's facing out towards Pittwater.
Okay.
So, but they've got a beautiful, amazing view that looks out to the hills and from the ensuite. So I don't know whether we've got a photo of it, but there's a bath. There's a bath on. Yeah, there you go. So they can sit in their bath, open up all these sliding doors, and look straight out to the view. So. Because all those sliding doors, they open up completely. So
were those brass handrails I saw before?
They're bronze.
Bronze.
Yep.
Bronze. Yeah.
I imagine they're expensive.
Quite expensive. Yeah. So the bronze we had to actually get from Germany. So that was a mission in itself.
How do you go about ordering that for a custom home like this?
With a lot of effort and toing and froing with suppliers and
You speak German now?
No. So with a lot of these things, you're going further afield because the materials that you want and want to use in these projects and some of the details that the architects come up with can't be produced with the material that they want to use. So you need to think outside the square So we had copper balustrading everywhere that was specified. Yep. Now you can't weld copper. You can only braze it when it's not strong enough for a balustrade. Oh. So I went to my fabricator who's very, very talented, and I said, we've got copper specified. What else can we do to create something that's going to be structurally sound with a balustrade and be compliant? He said, you can weld bronze. Yep. Bronze is a little bit like stainless steel. So then I got on the trail of trying to find bronze in Australia. So not many people supply bronze in Australia. So particularly tube, it's more used in marine kind of areas with big solid shafts and things like that. So I got the supplier who was in Australia to kind of source our tube, and that had to come from Germany. So that's 14 weeks that we had to wait for that. So
I take it that there's no real, there's nothing in the NCC stating that you can use bronze as a balustrade. Was this house largely deemed to satisfy provision?
It kind of was. Yeah, the architects did their due diligence with making things compliant. So again, we had tension rods coming through for the balustrades to actually hook onto. So, they had to be to compliance. Yep. So that was all done to compliance. Some of you just look at what's going to happen. Have you got fall protection going through more than 125 mil gap? None of the designs had that. So we were compliant. So we just had to have that fall protection. So that was kind of what they looked at and what we designed. So it was, a lot of the processes still very compliant, but just completely off off kind of kilter with the general consensus of what's out there.
Now, Joel, this isn't the only award that you've won with the HIA. I understand that you're a serial offender in winning awards. What's been when you win those sorts of awards? It's great for your folio. It's great for to be able to share it with people. What's been the effect of that for you as a builder?
I think it's the confidence that you get, not just for yourself, but for clients that come by and architects that kind of come by, and it's just I feel that when you produce something that's so beautiful, to get the award, particularly in your industry, is so satisfying that all the effort that you've put in, all your teams put in, is rewarded
and
recognised. Yeah, that's right. So it just gives you more runs on the board, obviously. So there's jobs that I don't put in for awards and things like that, but our processes are still the same with every job we do. I just don't cut any corners at any process of any of the part of the build. So
has it slingshotted your business at all, or are you just maintaining what you do?
I think it puts you up that next level of quality builds that you can produce. Yeah. So we're constantly busy, and I can only take on so much work. So I'm not looking for work. So it's just, I think in that regard, it's just giving you those runs that obviously give confidence to your next client. So I think that's the biggest key for me, really. Winning the awards is, I kind of enter the jobs in the awards also for my team, to get recognised as well.
Yeah, it's a good pat on the back for everybody who's involved.
Yeah, because they give their heart and soul into them as well. So it's definitely for them mainly, but also to kind of just get that tick on the board for ourselves. So yeah, it's good.
And for builders listening or watching, what in terms of if they were to enter into the awards, what sort of advice would you give them?
I think do the best you can. Try and the projects that you enter, or whatever category that you enter, you just got to be confident within what you have produced is good enough quality to be able to be recognised. You might think it is, but there's also comes back to really good design as well. I think that's hugely important, and it's not. The awards are not about design, but it's about producing what you have been given from an architect or from a client, and doing it to the best of your ability. So I think really that's all you can do. Do every process to the best of your ability. Your end product should be amazing, and it should be up there, and it should be awarded. So I think that's probably the best advice I can probably give.
Richard, I think it's time.
All right. Okay. Now, in front of you there are some very high quality hammers.
Right. What are we doing?
And this is a thing that we do called Under the Hammer. Now, there are some questions under each hammer, and we're going to ask you to answer those questions.
Okay.
So if you pick up one and call out the question or read out the question and answer it.
What material do you love working with or specify most?
Sandstone.
Actually, I don't like working with sandstone that much.
Couldn't imagine you would anymore.
You've become best friends with it, haven't you?
You know what? I think the most satisfying my background is carpentry.
Yep.
So working with beautiful timber is probably my most timber that I would love to specify. So yeah.
Did you zero in on a species? Just anything that's straight.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All Aussie hardwoods are fantastic. If clients can afford it, teak is absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. More kind of used in marine areas, but I think for an Australian hardwood, I would go with white mahogany or tallowood, something like that.
Yep.
So that's kind of where, I love my timbers.
Yeah, great.
But I think really I don't really have one material that I really love as just a single element. It's a mixture of stuff that you produce through the house. So, but timber's a special one because it's got so much warmth.
Yeah.
So,
I get that. All right, hammer number 2.
okay. When was the last time you learnt something new? Today. I'm here doing something new.
Yeah.
So
That's good. Is this is your first podcast that
it
you've
is.
done?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
What do you think so far?
yeah.
He's happy with me, but I'm not sure he's so happy with you.
No, it's all just. I mean, at my age, we missed the technology side of getting through life. So this is just the next step, I suppose.
Yeah.
So it's all different, all change. Third one. What's your ultimate tools down playlist song? Don't actually have an ultimate tools down playlist song. Something that's not too, because I hear so much of the boys' radio in on site during the day. So I kind of go home and I just want to kind of relax and
No more noise.
Enjoy the silence.
yeah, it's the silence and talk to my wife.
What's your favourite radio station then?
Favorite radio station would be.
Are we allowed to plug anyone?
Yeah, are we?
Yeah. Let's plug someone.
Triple J's, for generalisation of everything,
Yeah.
probably pretty good.
They've got a bit of everything. Hey?
They do, yeah, they do, and bit of WS 102, I think it is, WSM, old school stuff. But yeah, that's it for the hammers.
No, good stuff. And looking back on particularly this last job that this particular job that we've been talking about, what are the learnings that you took out of that will propel you forward?
Probably just knowing that your processes that you've got going are working, to keep the quality going no matter what. Again, just learning what you've learnt on that job to be able to, because you learn every day in building. Obviously,
Yep.
you're making mistakes, unfortunately, sometimes, and you learn, which is unfortunate, costs you money.
When there's a $1 penalty, you learn it
Yeah,
pretty well, don't
you do. And I've been through plenty of those. So I just feel having a team on board is a huge learning curve. For everyone out there, you got to have a team effort throughout the whole thing. Client, architect, your contractors have all got to be on board with the quality that you need and you want to produce. Apart from that, it's just keeping to those processes that you've got.
Yep.
That's the biggest importance, I think.
The builders looking to take that next step into not necessarily something that you built, but that next step in their journey. What are 3 tips you could give them based off what you've learned?
Push yourself, but don't push yourself too far. Just be confident in being able to produce and do what you think you can do. But I feel if you've got concerns about any part of a build, and you need to talk to people who know what they're doing. So that's the biggest importance. You've got to learn from people who have experienced and done projects already. So I think that's a big step for.
So that's the biggest one?
I think so. Yeah, you've either got to have experienced it, whether you've worked for someone, or you've done it through your own business. I think you've got to, if you've had falls and you've come back and you think you can do something, but you're not quite sure. I mean, there's HIA, there's lots of industries out there that will help and give you guidance, and there's lots of builders out there who will probably give you guidance as well if you ask the right questions. So also it comes back to, going to industry events and things like that, talking to other builders, things like that is hugely important as well. So you get a lot of knowledge from, obviously, suppliers and at those events you can talk to, your colleagues out there that are doing this kind of stuff. And
So you'd say not biting off more than you can chew.
don't do that.
Communication.
Yep. Communication's huge.
Anything else?
Be confident in your ability.
Back yourself.
Yeah. Back yourself. You got to back yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll come unstuck, but most of the time, if you feel that you can do it, you'll be fine.
Well, there you go. There are Joel's golden nuggets. So how did you come about getting this job?
So this job came through, again, the architect that I've worked for many years. I was just finishing a really decent job on another waterfront, actually, for him. And he told me that he had these clients who, they had a double block in Avalon, and they came to him and they wanted this amazing home. And he said, well, would you be interested in having a look at it? So I said, I'll have a look at it. And so I came from him. I also had someone else who had worked for these clients before who I knew. Okay. So he knew my work, a trade that I knew that gave the clients, my recommendation as well. Yep. The architect obviously, gave my recommendation to the clients. We brought them on to a site that we were nearly completing, and they were blown away. And so it kind of just, organically kind of came about. And I think it was just timing as well. And it fitted into my schedule. And so we just kind of started, a little bit of a relationship, and I found the most amazing clients I've ever worked for.
Wow.
So old school marketing, word of mouth.
Word of mouth, yeah.
Is that
runs on the board.
Yeah.
You produce something that's the house that I was just finishing, won an award. So, they had seen that. It was just word of mouth pretty much.
Is that where most of your work comes from?
All my work comes word of mouth. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All through, some architects that, obviously I've worked for over the years. So, I hardly ever advertise. So
you wouldn't need to when you're building.
I don't really know. And for me, my processes for my business model is not mass. Yeah. It's bespoke building. So, I've only got a certain amount of guys. I don't want to spread myself too thin that I can't put my heart and soul into every job that I do. So that's the key, I think.
Feel free not to answer this, but how do you go about making your margin and hitting your right numbers to where you're still making a profit because you're not working on 10, 12 homes at a time?
Yeah.
It's one or two.
Yeah, you've got to be very careful on the projects that you want to be doing. A lot of pretty much, I would say 90% of my work is cost plus. Okay. So I know I've got my margin there. That's enough. So it's just,
So with that cost plus structure, you would also, I imagine, have a very rigorous paper trail
100%.
And administration system because that's really where if you don't have that with a cost plus, you come unstuck.
You've got to have your back end really as well going. Yep. You've got to be so thorough with cost plus. Obviously, there's a lot of paperwork, probably more so than a fixed price. But when you get to my age, and you don't want risk, particularly with like architects are just coming up with designs these days for homes that they're just pushing the boundaries so far that you can't really put a figure on it.
Yeah.
So you can try and put an estimate on it to the best of your ability, but you don't want to be losing money. So
do you do that to an extent?
I do. Yeah, I do. So I always put a very, very detailed estimate to a client, even if I'm doing a cost plus build. I'll go through every trade, break it down, and we won't just go, sign a contract and we'll start building. It's all broken down into trades, and we'll get pretty bloody close. And if nothing changes, or we have a perfect site, we're pretty much bang on. But you just can't produce some of these homes that are getting designed now on a fixed contract.
Yeah,
it's impossible. and you can see what's going on in our industry over the last 2 or 3 years, that people who are on fixed prices with the material that was going through the roof, it's just a disaster.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just obviously that's mass producing homes. They were a big target, so because they're signed fixed contracts, and it's just really difficult. But I think this custom bespoke building is a different element. Yeah. It's just really it's way more tricky to put a fixed price on it. So, but you've got to have the client, and you've got to have the architect. You've got to have the runs on the board to do that. People don't always have trust, but when you, again, comes back to the awards that you win. So, when you're winning awards, clients will have some confidence in your ability that you've produced something, and so that's just experience. So yeah, I think that's a key.
You could summarise your favourite part of that Surfside project. What would that be?
I think summarising the house would be walking through an art gallery. It's every part that you walk through, you see a different detail and a different element that just blows your mind. Yeah. So in summary, it's a piece of art. Yeah, it really is.
I think that's a pretty fair thing to say.
Yeah. And I've had some amazing builders go through it as well and said, this is incredible. It is like a bloody art gallery. Yeah. So yeah, it is. It's just huge detail. It was amazing to build, and it's pretty special to look at when you walk through it.
Well, Joel, people looking to get in touch with you or see more of what you've done, where can they find you?
Just go to my website. So www.jjbuilding.net.au. Yep. They can find everything that's on there, and
Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram. Haven't got Facebook, but Instagram.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, great. Well, congratulations again on all the awards you've won.
Thank you, guys.
It's incredible. It's been great having you on today, and
thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us, Joel. Really appreciate it, mate.
Enjoyed it.
No, that's good. All right, so that was Made to Build, and we had Joel Jones from JJ Building. We look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks' time. Have a good day.